All right, so we need a motion to open this evening's meeting.
Make a motion that we open the April 9th meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome to the April 9th, 2014 meeting of the Architectural Board of Review and Historic Preservation. My name is Curtis Highsmith, and I am your chairman. I'd like to introduce our panel. Unfortunately, we will not have Christina Redding here, nor will we have Esther Pastor. But we do have Ham Hogue. We also have Brian Brady. We'd like to welcome our historic consultant, Zach Studenroth, our legal counsel, Bo Robinson, and as always, Antoinette, we welcome you. We're going to start this evening's meeting with signs and first application, please.
Architect sign, Young and Vespor.
Is the applicant present? Contractor sign. Don't really know the color, but font's fine.
I'm fine with it.
No more detailed? Don't care about color?
Black on white.
You see black and white, you just see a black and white.
Application. Color is always indicated. Black and white is assumed.
You want to assume it if you're okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Right?
Here's the sign.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Looks fine?
Pretty basic.
Concern, just condition upon black and white.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve with the condition that it is black and white.
I make a motion that we approve the architect sign for Young and Vespor with the condition that it's in black and white.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next application, a final one for signs is Long Island Neocraft, or Graft.
Is the applicant present? Please step forward. No, you behave, please. Please behave. Please, I'm asking. Your name for the record, please.
Kelly Hilliard.
Okay. You're proposing a sign. Is there a sign there currently?
I think it's been removed already.
Okay.
This sign is going on Main Street?
Yes.
Okay.
Hair transplant specialist, name of the company, and a website as a sign.
Yes.
We feel some. I'm just going to see how the board feels, but we try to stay pretty consistent with regards to the amount of detail in a storefront sign. That it just basically states and identifies the location of the company. To have any type of advertisement or websites, it's not something usually that this board will allow.
Okay.
See if the board has any issue with the amount of detail that's on the sign. Brian, have you seen the
I haven't
application?
seen it.
Ham, you have any questions?
It says hair transplant, right? And then the location is right next to Bo's office sign at his office. I'm fine with it.
Just couldn't
Appropriate.
resist. He couldn't resist. I said please.
It's appropriate.
You think it's appropriate?
Well, I think you have three others just like it, and it's right next to Bo's sign. It couldn't be any better.
Brian, do you have any issue with the detail in the sign?
I think that we should remove the website.
Hair transplant specialist.
Right, that's what they do.
Right, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you remove?
The
It's the
website.
website.
Oh, okay.
Would you have any challenges with removing the website?
What do you think?
I really would like it there. It's the way to,
If you were told you weren't going to get an approval with the website, would you have an issue with the website on?
I would just be wondering why there's one next to it.
Well, there's the amount of detail, I guess, would be the question. You have the name of your, I'm assuming that your name of your company is your name.
Correct.
You have what it is that you do,
Correct.
and then you have a website, little billboardish. And we tried to tailor down some of the detail.
Any way you would like. I just thought that would be better than a phone number. And since it's matching the one next to it where it has WW Hampton Lawyer, I tried to mimic that. It's, I think, what's the present day standard of identifying yourself. I don't see a problem with that.
Board members, do you have any issue with it?
Nope.
Right?
He has a point.
Think so? Any public comment on the application? I don't want to hold up the application, and you're absolutely right. The sign next to it is I don't know if it would be approved today, but it's there now. So, motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve the sign for Long Island Neograft at 61 Main Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Next, that concludes our sign permits for this evening.
Chair, first one of the public hearings on historic is Elizabeth Yonke.
Sorry, excuse me. Is there a holdover on the signs from last week for Hampton signs?
Holdover? What do you mean?
No.
Like, no, that's not-
It was supposed to be on tonight's agenda.
Name of the company?
Hampton signs?
Hampton Sign Company.
Yeah, it was the blue sign that you had an issue with the size of
You
the
were
letters.
approved. It was a question of the height of the letters need to remain about, I think it's 12 inches, correct?
Well, we were going to talk about it tonight, and then we had other drawings for you
They already approved it.
with,
With
at
conditions.
half the size.
12-inch maximum.
12-inch maximum, which is the code. So you've been approved.
We couldn't find it in the code. I'm sorry to. Should we just get on next agenda and then we can discuss
You
it?
would
or-
have to go just request a reopen of the
Okay.
application if you wanted to discuss it. I would get clarification on the size of the
Okay.
lettering before reopening the application, just in case you're
Great.
wasting your time.
Who could I check that with?
John Foster.
John Foster.
Thank you very much. All right,
Or
thanks.
or another building inspector.
Okay, thank you.
First application, historic. The application has been closed for written decision. Council, we're still working on that application, correct?
Still working on that application. Decision.
It is adjourned, so it doesn't. Next application, the applicant has requested that the application be adjourned. Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn.
I make a,
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant's request to adjourn for 436 Jane Lane LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next application is Matthew Stopnick, 40 North Main Street, for replacement of arbor and landscaping. There's a written decision in the file.
Council?
The decision approves the application as presented based upon the consensus of the board, and an affirmative vote on the motion would be to approve the application.
Motion to approve written decision by council.
I make a motion that we approve the written decision by council for Forches LLC, 163 South Main Street. Oh, no, for Matthew Stopnick. Sorry.
That's a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next application is Fortes LLC, 163 South Main Street, for exterior alterations to demolish windows, door, siding, dwelling, in addition to a pool house and driveway gates. It should say stucco on there as well. There's a written decision, Mr. Chair.
Council?
Decision is in the file approving the application as presented, therefore an affirmative vote on the motion would be to approve the application.
Motion to approve
Make
written
a
decision
motion
by
that we
council.
approve the written decision by council for Forches LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next application,
This
please.
application is, excuse me, First Pasture LLC, for exterior alterations and porch addition.
Is the applicant present?
Yes, for the applicant, John Bennett and Oliver Cope is with me this evening. I have some presentation materials for, on copy for all the board members. Zach. Oh, you want, thank you. Yeah, I think there was one for everyone. Yeah, Zach's being kind enough to hand them out. I don't have much to say other than to say that I'm really pleased to be able to work with Oliver. I've always been a great admirer of his work, and I think what he's done is taken a house from the '80s and greatly improved it. And hopefully you'll agree with this. But I'll let Oliver present.
Good evening, thank you. I may have,
Just formality, your name for the record.
it's Oliver Cope, I'm an architect licensed in the state of New York. My office is at 151 West 26th Street in New York. The property, as you know, is 260 First Neck. It's an existing dwelling built, I think, in the early 90s with serial renovations in the last 20 years. It's in the historic district, and my goal is to illustrate compliance with the criteria for approval of a certificate of appropriateness. I put together this book just so I can hit the high points here for you quickly. The first 2 pages give you context. It's a long, narrow lot. The house is closer to the street. There's a aerial photograph that indicates the relative amount of space between it and other adjacent houses, which are a blend of shingle and colonial revival houses, at least immediately across the street and next door. We're proposing to do 4 principal things. The next set of pages just gives you a sort of panoramic view of what the view is across the street on the left, and then from across the street looking at the house. If you turn next to the plans, the existing conditions are on the left, and I've got a dashed red line at the front of the house showing some alterations, and then another dashed rectangle at the rear, which is on the right. On the front of the house, we're proposing to add a small mudroom and side entrance, and then extend the porch to the north. And then we're also proposing to extend the porch around to the right. And if you turn back, 1, 2, 3.
Oliver, can I just interrupt for a second?
Yes.
This looks like a terrific project. Your
Yeah.
height, your ridge height is 24 feet across the board.
Pretty much, that's the maximum.
Thank you.
If you turn back to the first photograph and then a perspective next to it, that shows you the west elevation, which is the street side, and shows the extension of the front porch relative to the...
Just a point of reference, Zach, contributing. It's new construction prior to. Yep. Okay.
Just back to the plan again for a second. The next thing that we're proposing, and this is verging on not visible from the public way, but we are taking the small extension on the side of the garage that we labeled storage and expanding it into a garage bay, and we're consuming, and I know this is interior and not really your department, but we're consuming 2 of the garage bays with a playroom and a back sort of mudroom for the kids.
If you want to go through the presentation, you're more
great.
than happy to.
Yeah.
You're
Or
more
you'd
than
like me
happy
to...
to
Looks
listen to it.
fantastic.
We've gone through it. And I
You're
don't
ready
think-
to go?
I'll
one
pull the
thing-
board and see if they have any concerns, but it doesn't seem we do.
That's fine.
Zach, anything from the historic aspect? Within keeping,
No, I think it's an improvement, aesthetically, certainly an improvement.
that's the historic. Board members, any questions?
I love the way you cleaned it up. Thank you. Basically.
It's reorganized. It's good. The presentation with other properties, all the information that we need. It's just what we'd like to see on every application.
Thorough, detailed, and I appreciate your illustrations.
My pleasure.
Okay.
You pointed out exactly what the detail, what the changes would be, and it's very appropriate. Any public comment on the application? So you're doing an endorsement. Any other public comments?
Okay, we need a
Very
written
talented.
decision.
Improvement on the house.
Property is located in the historic district, which means by policy and also by guidelines. It has to be in writing. So therefore, we're going to empower our council to prepare a written decision at our next meeting, hopefully. Hopefully. But you don't have to be here. There's no need to be here. You could be here if you just want a copy of the written decision, or you can have council represent you.
You don't need to bring anything.
Won't bring
else.
anything back.
Yeah,
Can
but
you-
one question I have, is this representative of what we have as a file copy on record?
Um,
Are there any changes
Those
from this
plans are
presentation?
consistent with what I've
Consistent.
given.
Okay, thank you.
And you can take some of the representation.
You want some of this back?
So you don't have.
I'm moving my office. I don't. I'll take it, but I'll have to dispose of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Motion to adjourn for written decision by council.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application for First Pasture LLC for written decision by council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
That concludes the historic. Moving forward to non-historic, Mr. Chair. Jovan Todorovic, 24 Prospect Street for construction of a new house.
has this signed off on.
No idea.
This is the new one.
Stamp. Oh, sorry.
Got it?
Yes. I'm Kevin Bertolini, architect for the project. In response to last meeting remarks, comments that was made about the projection of the lower section out about 2 feet, and to recess the upper part was recessed about 10 inches to create more of a purpose for that gable at that end over there. The plans were resubmitted showing there was also cross sections of that showing the step back. Everything else on the plan, since there was no other real objections or comments to it, was remained the same.
Sorry, board, I was not here at the last meeting. I'm just
Okay,
saying-
you want to, yeah, essentially from the
I
one
see
previously.
the setback of the garage, which, thank you.
Yes, we set it back and sort of
Appreciate
pulled it off to the side a little bit, so it's full
Appreciate that.
all the way back.
Thank you for hearing to some of the recommendations that were at the meeting I attended, so.
The
Yes.
left main gable, Mr. Chair, over here was, that was bumped out on the first floor. And the second floor above the pitch of the roof was set back, so it was recessed, if you will. And I think, Brian, it pretty much goes in the direction that we wanted it to, right?
Yeah, I thought we were pulling it forward.
The bottom was being pulled forward,
Right,
and which it is,
right, okay.
2 feet. And then the second floor portion up here
Back.
was pulled back.
Exactly what we asked for.
Exactly what we.
Yes, and
The
this,
variation of
Gives
roof
it more
lines also
balance.
gives it less of a massive,
Yeah.
because I believe that in.
That was
this
the main
was
concern.
One of my main concerns,
Yeah, no, he
that
looks
it wouldn't
great.
be as grand
right.
from a street view. Board members, do you have any questions?
No,
No,
I
thank
think-
you for
I think you listened to us. Thank you.
persevering with us.
Could you do me
Okay.
a favor and just turn it to the camera so it can be on record? Thank you.
Okay.
I'm working on it. Anything else? Anything further on the presentation? Any public comment on the application? Anything further from the board?
Nope.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the application of Jovan Todorovic at 22 Prospect Street.
Second.
All in favor?
All right, good
Okay,
luck.
thank you.
Sure, next application is Frank and Tarwin Lawrence, 105 Henry Street. Last meeting, we asked that the applicant bring in a landscape plan, as well as make some adjustments
Adjustments, right.
on the fenestration, primarily, quite a lot of changes. there.
Trim.
And trim, moldings, and detail.
Good evening, I'm Jay Angiossi for the applicant. I have a landscape drawing with me this evening. You also asked for some photos, some additional photos of the adjoining properties, which I'm going to submit, as well as the details, incorporating some of your requests.
If we could hold all comments out in the hallway, or it's difficult for us to hear the applicant.
Okay, with regard to some of your recommendations, the window that was above the main entry, we decreased that size. We show the columns, the front door is detailed now. We also show the first floor trim surround on the windows, which was not shown in the last drawing. It was just on the second floor. The architect actually forgot to put a horizontal line in on the plan. So this shows this now. Mr. Hoag asked us to consider a brick or masonry chimney, which we incorporated in the design now.
So you're going with a brick chimney, correct?
Yes.
Do you have an idea of what type of brick?
It's a standard natural red brick. I didn't submit a sample, but it's pretty much the same brick that you see both on chimneys and pavers within the village.
So it's a red clay.
Yes.
Is there any detail on the chimney? I mean, the cap or anything? You look like you just have that, like as an insert with something, a fan sticking up or something?
No, he shows it as just a clay round blue pipe coming out with a cap, but it'll be something that will be quite decorative.
Okay.
Ham?
Well, first of all, I think I'd like to address, before we look at the house, I'd like to address one of the issues that some of the neighbors had last time, and it has something to do with the facade as well. I know that the efforts on some of the smaller lots is to move the garages, or so the house is not stacked on top of the garage, and I know that's what happened in this application. The planning commission passed some zoning laws, which we have nothing to do with, to push the garage to the back and be able to have that 5-foot setback. So the development of the lot, as far as I'm concerned, is the best we can do with detaching the garage, moving it to the rear of the property, and minimizing the front impact of the legal sizing of this house. The brick chimney is a great add-on. The organization of fenestration is much, much better. I don't have any issues with it. However, I do want to review the landscape, because there were several landscape plans. There were several concerned people here at last meeting. And
Is your interpretation of the landscape plan?
Yes. Well, we're addressing just the boundary line on the south side. And the reason we're doing that is I submitted the photos, which will show a dense privet along that boundary line that we're adding to. Just the concern by one of the neighbors was that the noise of a car door opening and closing. So we stayed with that. And we're just talking about that boundary line right now. The rear boundary has hedge, and to the north, which is the Lynch house, that has a full hedge also. Those photos will show you that. I was very careful to give you photos of all the boundary lines. But the concern was the southerly boundary line, which adjoins the Berger house. And that's where we're adding a stockade fence, and we're adding some a row of arborvitae. We have to cut that hedge back. That hedge is actually 3 feet onto this property, or 2.5 feet onto this property. So we would cut that back, add the stockade fence, and then do a row of arborvitae.
Okay. Any public comment on the application?
Brian has a couple of comments.
You had a comment? Please step forward.
Dana Berger, 89 Henry Street.
How's your mouth feeling after all that dentist?
Huh?
How's your mouth feeling after going to the dentist?
No, the appointment's on Friday. Thank you.
Building inspector. You have a sore mouth.
I know. We were in the building department at the end of last week, and we worked with John Foster, and we gave him a list of items of concern, inclusive of this landscape plan, inclusive of a number of items, and they're all in writing with John Foster, just as your committee advised that we'd work with John. So then I called yesterday to be able to...
Did you make that a part of the file, so it could be a part of
Yes,
an
it's
approval?
all part of the file.
Part of the file. You
As
say John
was...
Foster, I want to make sure it's part of this file.
Yes, it is. He has everything in writing. And as is, I gave it 6 copies with the pictures of a double-wide driveway, etc., at this same location, 105 Henry Street. So, and that was in the file also, all 6 copies of it. So I guess it didn't get to you guys, but anyway, I gave it to the desk, and so I don't know what the process is. Long story short...
Dan, I was in there this afternoon, and that's why I asked for it. I did see it. Some of the stuff that you had talked about.
You saw, okay. So you saw what Curtis is asking for. It's all in there. Okay. Then And so I haven't had a chance to review this, nor have I had a chance to review this with John Foster, which apparently is the process by which I've advised this is the way to go. So
Refer to the
I'd like
building
this to
department, not-
held
not-
open.
Mr. Foster is only one of a lot of building inspectors there, and he's not back until Friday, but
Excuse me, I was there, called yesterday, and I said, can I come over and see the plans today
No,
or tomorrow?
What he's saying is that you're referring to one person in a department, and it's the department's responsibility, not the one person.
Well, maybe then you can hear what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I called yesterday to say, can I come over today or should I come over tomorrow, meaning today, Wednesday, to see those things that were asked to be submitted by Mr. Andressi. And they said they just talked to Mr. Andressi and he's not submitting them to the building department until after he takes them to the Architectural Review Board. So we have not had a chance to see them, and I'm asking for a chance to review them. There's a lot of minutia, and just that the right thing be done. So I'm asking that you hold this open.
Thank you.
okay.
Okay?
Okay, good. Good.
What?
Nothing.
Any more public comment?
Just to clarify, the building department told us that he would be giving us the landscape plan this evening and walking us through.
That's just what I said. That's what they told me.
Go ahead.
Go.
Try it.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Any more public comment?
Can I comment?
You certainly can.
Everyone here knows the process. So we followed the process to the letter of the law. We came in 2 weeks ago. You gave us recommendations. I went back to my client. They agreed to every recommendation you made. And we're back here. We really would not like you to hold this up. We would like you to make a decision for us. We would like to get some work done during the summer. And with any kind of luck, maybe these folks will have a home by the end of the year. So we would like you not to hold this.
Okay. Brian, any comments?
Is there anything in there that relates to us?
No.
Okay.
No. It's just
Then I have
really
no
it's really a landscape plan that's just been put in. Sure, Dana's calling for me.
Who's calling for me?
Ms. Berger.
It's that.
Excuse me, but demolition on this property started on January 17th. They worked for that Friday and that Saturday, and then it sat there for 2 months in the snow, in the conditions, with a hole in the ground, and nothing to be done, all of which could have been to make these applications, all of which could have been to go through these processes. And now, when they, all of a sudden, the meeting is, they decide to get themselves organized and do this, now they're worried about a 2-week delay when it sat there for 2 months with a hole in the ground. I'm sorry. And also, by the way, stacks of debris that were lead-based paint and asbestos-ridden, and that I had to call the DEC to get it removed. And instead of it going into a canister, it sat there on the ground. So forgive me that, you know, if they don't want to wait 2 weeks because they decided all of a sudden now it's a hurry, well, you know, it doesn't make sense.
Thank you. I just one more. I have to comment on 2 things. One
Can you
thing
just
is,
show her the landscape plan?
Can you take the
Can you just
landscape
show the
plan
landscape
outside
plan
and
to
go
her?
over with it?
And you guys talk
We'll
for a little
call
bit?
it.
I just need to comment on 2 things quickly.
You certainly
really
One
need
is,
to?
everyone knows what kind of winter we had. The ground was frozen. The site had to sit after we got to a certain point. Secondly,
The question is about the landscape plan. She's
Landscape
just seeing
plan,
it
just-
now.
okay,
to
but
the
she's
landscape.
making an accusation that we left
We know that this is the
contaminated
toughest winter
materials.
that we've ever
She
had.
had
Everything
DEC
stopped.
officer there, Officer Lofson, who contacted me and said that it was totally ridiculous. She said, you do not have any violations, everything you did there was proper. So I just need the record to know that. We did not contaminate the property. I'll be happy to take the neighbor outside and show her the landscape.
Don't take her outside. Step in the hallway and discuss the landscape plan.
It's outside to me.
I think at this point she may want to take you outside.
Yeah. Dan, can
If
you
you-
walk through, would you feel comfortable enough walking through the landscape?
I want John Foster to hit the punch list. I'm sorry.
Well, you have to understand something. If you could step forward, because I want to address your punch list. Your punch list has nothing to do with the approval process of this board. You're asking for things that have no purview of this board.
Excuse me, I was told by village trustees that this is the way the process works, and until we've had a chance to review, that I can ask that you hold open your decision, and that's the way that it should be. Or else, what are you asking for public opinion for? Okay? And you're directing me on a number of occasions to work with the building department. So now I'm working with the building department. They could have submitted the plans to the building department yesterday or today, but they chose not to. So that's not my fault. Also, by the way, the property is within less than 100 feet of the water tower. So my concern in calling the DEC is not unfounded, and that's not at all what the officer said. So anyway, the long and short of it is
You'd feel more comfortable examining the file now that it's complete, is that correct?
yes, and also with an expert that understands what is being written on paper, okay? I'm not, I also have not seen a southern elevation for the garage. I haven't seen a southern elevation for the house. Those kind of things, I don't, forgive me, but I haven't seen any of that stuff. And just to be able to say, here they are on the table and what have you, that's not enough. I'm sorry. That's
Okay.
unfair.
Okay.
Any questions?
Are we
Issues?
missing those elevations?
North, south, no, we are not.
No. Then I have no
But she
issues.
says she has not had the opportunity to review the file.
Well, they've been in the file, so I have no issue.
Do you have any issues?
I think that short of the landscape plan, or it's really a screening plan, not a landscape plan, I'm fine with reviewing. I think the applicant has done everything that we've asked them to do, with the exception is, I do agree with Brian's comment earlier that a detail submitted for the corbelling of the brick and a sample would be good. I also think that the transom that doesn't have any mountain bars could be cleaned up. That's the final detail. I do see you have a cross-sections that are done, and they've really complied with each and every one of our requests. And I urge you, Dana, if you can, to take a look at the landscape plan for 15, 20 minutes. Let him walk you through it, and let's move on to a productive case. Because what we're seeing, with all due respect, is that we work very hard in looking at applications, suggesting, we've worked on fenestration here, we've worked on the chimney, we've worked on details such as the primary fascia, soffit, frieze boards, and we've requested the screening plan as well. So, I understand what you're saying, but the file was complete today with the exception.
I go back to my original. If it's a question of time, there was a 2-month lag that anybody could have taken their time and done all of this stuff. If it's a question of an issue, I don't think it's fair that I'm supposed to know what I don't know and I'm asking the experts to know. And that's what you employ these people for the village, I assume, like John Foster. And you're asking me not to have that connection and not to have the benefit of his advice. And instead that I'm supposed to look at this and know the difference. I'll be very honest with you. It's if it's not in front of this board, it's not going to happen. I can almost guarantee you. Okay, and I know that, and I'm just saying this from from experience with these people that are doing this property. Okay, and all things considered, that I'm not the police. I'm just a fair village resident who happens to be living next door to this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied that the applicant has met all requirements with exception to the chimney. I'd like to see a little bit of discussion with the applicant or clarification, if you will, that he will be in writing, that he will be using a natural brick that's out here. Other than that, I don't have any questions for the applicant.
Okay. You feel the motion for approval?
You want to make a motion?
do. Yeah.
Motion.
Okay. Are we going to put any?
With the well, since you have the conditions and you.
Why don't you say it then?
Yeah, I make a motion for the approval of the application at 105 Henry Street for Frank and Tara Lawrence. The indication of a clay brick, a red clay brick, and the implementation of the screening plan that the board has requested. That's it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next application is for ADG Development at 48 McGee Street for construction of a two-story single-family dwelling, garage, and pool house.
Good evening, Anthony Vermandois, 68 Union Street, Sag Harbor. Okay, so we're on a property on McGee Street. I'll just go through it briefly. It's basically, you'll see from the site plan S1, it's a trapezoidal shaped property. It's about 33,000 square feet, so a little bit over 3/4 of an acre. We're proposing a two-story dwelling on the property, plus a detached garage and a detached pool house. The house is a shingle-style dwelling, natural shingle siding, painted wood trim, wood windows, mostly double-hung, brick chimneys, and the ridge height is 31 feet. The main ridge is 31 feet. We kept the we tried to keep the fascia lines at the side elevations, which I know is a concern of this board, as low as we could. We kept them to 16 foot 6 inches.
Floor plan. First floor.
What's that? It's the entry.
No, that's second floor. That's second floor.
Entry. And then
Yeah.
that little.
Yeah. And last but not least, condition.
What were the changes that were made from the last meeting?
This is the first presentation for this.
Oh.
I think you're thinking of
This looks so
153, the one on the
familiar,
other
that's all.
corner.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought they were doing something different there. Okay.
You just sound the same.
Nice cover.
The swell that you have coming over the front entry door, Curtis and I were just looking at, can you talk about that?
Can you show it in another form or detail? Is there something you can really? If we can close that door too, I can hear whatever is transpiring out there in the hallway. Yeah, it's happened before.
So basically what's going on is the front entryway is projected proud of the main facade. So
I think it's more the spoof of the roof line.
It comes out, it's basically, it's a hipped roof. So it swoops out over
With
the
a
entrance
flare,
hall
right?
and then swoops
It's a
in.
hip with a flare?
Yeah. I mean, all the roofs have a little flare to them,
Okay.
except the dormers. So
It
that
just reads
picks up
very
on-
strangely. Can you just, where's the break? Is that a common pitch that's coming down?
Yes. So it's a common pitch coming down. This projects out. This swoops over that.
It's just part of the main gable.
Yeah.
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 It just reads
It reads
weird.
real weird.
Would we prefer it if it was just I just did away with the?
No, I think the
swoop
way
and
it reads is just odd. That's all. But now I understand what you're doing.
It's maybe a little hard to convey it in two dimensions.
And the door is recessed.
The door is
The
recessed.
doors
yes.
sit back, okay.
Rather than a front porch, in this case, we just recessed the door back.
Yeah.
It pulls out.
Brian, comments?
No, I think it's nice. Actually.
Yeah.
No, it's good. It's just confusing to read that particular line on the AutoCAD drawing, you know?
Very difficult to see things in one dimension. Try to make it three-dimensional. So, other than the
What's
roof
the-
line there.
Sorry, what's
I have
the
no issue.
materials? Can you just walk through that really quick?
Oh, sure.
The brick, is it a brick chimney?
Brick chimneys, yeah. Brick veneer chimneys, Danish blend. Red cedar shingle roof.
Right.
Natural cedar shingle walls, white trim, white wood, painted white wood trim.
Any public comment on the application? Step forward, please. You have to step forward. If you can give her some space.
Thank you. Joan Worthing, my husband Bruce Dinsmore from 104 South McGee. We have a flag lot that adjoins the corner of this. I just wanted to know where it is on the property.
Sure. I think this is your lot, right?
No, here.
Here? Okay. We're actually, there are two properties. There's a flag lot that comes out here,
Yeah.
and then this is in front. So this is the main house that we're proposing.
They're tearing down what was there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so you're still leaving this blank
Yes.
for now?
For now.
You should have said that.
You shouldn't have said that. It's really sneaky.
Privacy still.
Yes and no answers. Counsel.
It's really sneaky, don't
This
say
happens, we'll
that.
be extra careful with the screening for you, so.
It's getting crowded up
Look
here.
what
and-
happens.
No, please, you can step forward.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, absolutely, but I just want to.
Yeah, we didn't realize the other house was going.
Here, sure.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments about the design?
I think she just wants to chat for a minute.
Okay.
It's far enough.
It's far enough. Okay.
Far
Out of
enough.
sight, out of mind. Any other public comments?
Oh, your other house was right on Bishop's, right here.
Yeah, it was around the corner, that's what,
Okay.
yeah.
Brian, anything further?
No, I think it's fine.
Pam, anything further?
No.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the application of ADG Development LLC at 48 McGee Street.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
115 Corrigan Street for a two-story dwelling.
My name is George Sosa. I'm the architect for that property.
Hold on 1 second.
Affidavit of mailing, affidavit of posting in the file. Photographs of the existing house. And then can you hold that up to the camera?
Yes,
so
I'm
we can
sorry.
Show existing and
Yes, that's the
points that way. There you go. So that's what you have now, and that's what's being proposed. Okay.
is the shingle style house. We had to, the idea was to reduce the height of the building by incorporating the second floor into the attic, if you will, by creating, on each side of the house, of the roofs, dormers that will
You don't want to
provide light.
Where is it?
Provide light as well as room on the second floor by exploring.
I think you really, if you could speak into the microphone. because
Oh,
we
I
have to
see.
be
I
able to
didn't
pick
see
you
it
up for
before.
All right.
All right.
Do you want to start over?
Yes, I can
Okay,
start
good.
over, yes.
Just speak into the microphone so we can hear you in the
Yeah,
TV.
I'm trying to do that. It's here.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a microphone, actually.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Not to wait.
When I was sitting there, everybody was covering it.
Right.
So the house that we're replacing is basically a two-story house with an attached garage in the front. And shingle style with white trim and a porch that it will indicate the entry, the acceleration of entry, as we call it. The house has 4 bedrooms on the second floor, 3 bedrooms on the second floor, and 2 bedrooms in the basement, and a den that it could be used as a bedroom as well on the first floor.
I'm glad you did that.
Oh,
Because it reads so much better.
Yeah, I had a problem with that, explaining that to John Foster, because you see everything in one plane. So in reality, it has a lot of depth and different levels, which I think it makes it
Zach
attractive.
is chewing the inside of his lip.
The only
Never
thing is
comment.
that perhaps the landscaping is a little ambitious here in the rendering, but that's something that comes later.
Mature.
Mature.
Comments?
Well, my only feeling is the front-facing garage. I don't know if this lot enables an alternative, but I know that that's a more suburban look, if you will, and I think that the traditional village houses tend to have freestanding garages.
Not the only house in Corrigan that has
No, I
a street.
understand.
Yeah, that street and the neighborhood, it's not, it actually.
Yeah, I have
enhances
actually
it, I think.
examples of the houses that.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's nice. Very nice, handsome.
Now this will be the third house on Corrigan going up at the same time.
Third house? Summer.
Coming in very.
Question?
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the house at 115 Corrigan Street, LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good luck. Next application is HBV Properties, 1140 Meadow Lane for driveway gates.
Hello, I'm Donna Kober. I'm representing PCH. We're the applicant for our clients, HBB Properties on 1140 Meadow Lane. And they're requesting to bring in some new driveway gates. In your file should be photographs of the existing gates. And we've included photos of the proposed gates.
Are you training Mark? Is that why he's standing next to you?
Oh, I'm sorry, and this
Other
is
way
Mark
around.
Cirillo of AutoGates,
Okay.
who will be doing the construction.
Right, transparent.
Transparent, three and 3/4 spacing?
The pickets?
Yes.
Three-quarter spacing or three-quarter pickets?
Three.
3 and 3/4 spacing.
3 and 3/4 space.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
more than enough spacing. I have no issue.
Transparency, style is nice.
No lanterns, no any,
No, if I could refer to the existing photo, those were lanterns.
yes.
But
We're
the
not
new
doing it.
ones
That's
are
why I
not gonna
asked, there's
have
no
them.
lanterns. Yes.
No
And
lanterns.
No.
Ground lighting, maybe.
Up-facing lighting. Yeah, that's fine.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the application for HBV Properties for driveway gates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next application is 500 Old Town LLC. You have to address the chair. I'm not the chair anymore. I'm just a board member. The responsibility of all that talking stuff is not with me anymore.
Regarding the gate?
What gates?
It's her gate. Get out of here quick. Gate application.
If you're addressing a closed application, then no, I can.
No, you just told me to talk about the landscape plan outside, and I just did. And he's putting up a stockered fence right out to the curb, okay, right out to the street, and cutting down the hedges.
Okay, I understand.
Okay,
We
that are
asked-
on the
if you could-
property line.
I heard you. We asked that you go outside and speak before we made a decision on the application so that you had a better understanding. That was what we were requesting that you do.
But if you looked at the landscape plan, why would you allow a stockade fence, which there is not one in all of the village, that comes all the way out to the street?
There are several.
And they need to be
Creates more
4 feet.
privacy.
It creates more privacy, but it also creates that genuine buffer between the two properties. So they do exist.
They
And it would
also
help with
taper
sound.
back, so they go from 4 feet to a 6-foot distance from the street.
Okay.
John can tell you what the setback is. They have to adhere to that.
I was put on notice by Jay Andressi that he's not going to work with any of us. In other words, he's not going to work with me, and that he thinks this is my fault. And I'm saying to you that this is not a democratic process. If what the village is advising me to handle this and leave it open for 2 weeks after they've delayed for over 2 months, okay?
Ma'am, you can ask this board to hold over an application for as much time as you wish. Doesn't necessarily mean we agree with your request.
I understand that.
Okay. Yes.
But I didn't ask for something that was not inappropriate. The building department has not seen these.
But we, as a board, made a decision tonight that we were satisfied with the application. so we approve the application to go forward.
The building department cannot ask for a screening plan. We did. The building department cannot ask for fenestration changes. We did. The building department can't ask for many things. We're a review board. So I think in this particular review, we worked extremely hard to make this as palatable, inclusive of having a chimney, inclusive of having the correct details on the blueprints. I would go to John and speak to him with any of his concerns, but as far as
But you do address the aesthetics, if I'm not mistaken. That's how you've
not the
explained it.
aesthetics of a landscape fence that's to the rear of a facade. Okay?
Coming out to the curb, that's
Can't come out
not
to
the
curb.
aesthetics?
There's a.
Well, that's what he's got on his plan.
The building department would not let him build it.
That's what.
Okay, that's what we're saying.
Well,
Yeah, I
you
think
you have to understand there's certain things that
And
are.
I'm going
there-
on the record
there are
to
certain
say
things that are
that it
enforceable.
needs review by the building
Okay,
department.
thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll make sure that's in the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Next application.
Next
please.
application is 500 Old Town for construction of a new two-story house with attached garage and pool house.
Good evening,
Can you
Board.
identify yourself for the record, please?
Bruce Lifton for 500 Old Town, principal.
You have small plans there, Bruce?
Stay. No, I got some for you guys, yes. First of all, I'm handing in, I'm sure you have them, but the affidavits of both posting and mailing, as well as a copy of the publication.
We do have.
I'm not sure. I'm just looking at the plan.
Thank you so much.
Is this 500 Old Town?
Yes.
Or is this 500 Gin Lane?
No, 500 Old Town.
Okay.
500 Old
Is
Town,
it
but I
at
like
least
gin. We could change it, because
You like to
call me crazy. It's Old Town. It's Old Town. It was Arnie Pastor's house years ago, from what I
I thought
understand.
so,
Yeah.
okay. 500 Gin is still owned by Condren, right?
I don't know.
It is.
I'm also handing in some smaller versions of
That'd be great.
computer
And they are
renderings to make everybody's...
replications,
Yes,
exact
yeah,
replications that we
exact,
have in file.
exact. Just trying to make everyone's life a little easier.
Shouldn't this not be that Old Town Road?
It would be.
It's Old Town Road.
Well, they've
It
got
says Old
you
Town
on the
Lane.
agenda as Old Town
It's a
Lane.
little confusing.
I'm sorry.
What's your lot size?
I'm sorry?
Your lot size.
1.85 or 1.86, I'm not sure. Or maybe depend which survey is rounding in which direction. We are 1,500 feet less of coverage than the home and the amenities we're removing. We are proposing a 10,000 foot, 10,400 foot, 2.5 story. We're not allowed to have a lower level basement because of the floodplain, so we did a half story to put a few of those amenities up there. So on 2 floors, compared to a normal home, it would be about an 8,400 square foot home. It's a Dutch gambrel, shingle style, Danish blend chimneys. Edmund Hollander designed the landscape plan.
And Val Florio is the architect?
Yes, that's correct. The other home has already been demolished.
So you've reduced the size of the existing
Of the coverage, yes.
coverage.
I think from 14 in low change to high 12s, the way I read the survey. Actually, I reviewed it right before I came up here. I have,
Interesting recessed third-story deck.
Does Hollander have a landscape screening plan for this project yet?
there is a currently very large hedges all around the property. The way it exists now, and we didn't touch them. They're probably 16, 17 feet tall. They're beautiful.
Question I have, on
Sure.
the driveway coming in, is there a change from the existing to what the proposed? is?
Yes, we've actually already moved the trees because where the home is being located versus the one that demoed switches it a little bit, I guess, north. So the trees have already been balled and burlap. We didn't want to miss the season, and they've actually already been replanted by Ed Corrigan.
Right, and that was last November, right?
No, that was actually a
recently?
week and a half ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian, any comments?
No, I think it's
Yeah,
fine. This
looks
is
great.
next to the condos, right?
Yes.
Yes.
What
Okay,
condos?
I know it now. So the view.
Sorry, that was my real estate marketing.
Yeah.
Which view? I'm sorry.
Yes, the condos are immediately adjacent to the north. That's correct.
Villas or
To the-
Villas of Old Town or something.
Yes,
So the third floor deck's actually looking at the pond.
The third floor deck is looking south-southwest over the pond out toward the ocean. The home is,
Those would be to the south further, right?
no, they're one lot to the north. They're immediately to the north.
Beyond,
It's just south of,
condos are to the north of this?
correct.
Okay, I got it now.
And the home is facing south-southwest. It's behind the 150-foot setback from the wetlands. It complies in all the ways it's
Yeah,
supposed
I
to.
think it's beautiful.
Any public comments on the application? Anything further, Ham?
No, I don't have anything further. I'm good.
Brian?
Okay, I make a motion to approve the application for 500 Old Town LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you, Board. Have a great evening.
Gerard Rosengarten on 15 Pelham Street to amend a prior ARB application. You know, it's funny, it's the streets that you know the most that confuse the heck out of you. When you're headwise, you're going in one direction, and you're just used to seeing it in another, you know?
Hi, my name is Ralph Barron. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New York, working on a project for Mr. Jerry Rosengarten at 148 Moses Lane. I have some handouts. Sure, okay.
This says 15 Pelham Street.
Yeah, this is...
Right. It's right about so it's between Moses and Pelham. So the address off of Pelham is sorry, I have it here. I keep referring to it as Moses Lane. What is
15
it?
Pelham is what the
148 on Moses and 15 on
15, that's
two
it.
entrances.
Thank
Oh, I
you.
see. Okay.
You want to hand your small renderings?
Thank you.
This is what's in the file?
That's
this
what's. This has been updated from, I think, what's in the file.
So you're giving us updated versions?
Updated versions, and they're duplicates of what I've got here. It hasn't changed.
With the mini sets that you have, or the file sets, is that correct?
Correct.
And you're the architect?
I am.
Okay. And you're licensed?
I'm licensed in the state of New York.
So these represent, what that represents and what's in the file.
We said that 3
Got
times
it.
now.
Yeah, it just the fact that you have a corner lot and you're fronting on both Pelham and Moses at the same time, which entry are you using, Pelham or Moses?
It's not a corner lot.
Not technically.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a corner lot.
Where's your front driveway and your front door?
So the front driveway is off Pelham here.
Got it, and that's
So
number
there's-
15, right?
That's number 15, right? So the lot is currently, and basically, with regard to the new information here, I'm
Mhm.
just adding more detail on the elevations. I haven't changed anything fundamentally from what we filed. We were just a race against the clock to just add clarity to this. So right now, this is the existing lot here. So Moses Lane is here, Pelham Street is here. It's a pie-shaped lot with frontage, basically frontage on both sides. We're conforming with all of the setbacks on both sides. There's an existing roughly 2,000 square foot, 2-story structure here. The proposed roughly just over 2,000 square foot structure is here, leaning towards the Moses Lane side. The siding of the new structure, is meant to accomplish 2 things. One is obviously to respect the setbacks, the meets and bounds. The other part of it is to break up the length of the house. What we're dealing with is a long, narrow site, and by pushing the lot forward in this direction, we're essentially shortening the facade or the frontage from the street as you drive by, so it's consistent with the homes in the, across the street and in the So on the Pelham Street side, this is our existing structure is here.
Can you hold that first thing up to the camera?
Oh, sure.
For a second, please. A lot of triangles and...
So, the challenge with this lot in particular and as a home is that it really has 2 fronts. And so architecturally, what I tried to do was to pull the garage away from the home. I have the garage door on the Pelham side. That's where the main driveway is. And with this bridge connecting to a bedroom on the 2nd floor here, created this inner garden at the back by Pelham to essentially, the idea of looking through, giving the house essentially two fronts. So that if you're driving by on Pelham or if you're driving by on Moses, the house presents itself nicely to the street. I've kept the architecture in terms of the facade simple. The existing home is remaining unchanged. There's, cedar shake on the facade, cedar shake siding on the roof. There is some board and batten here. On the new structure, we're proposing a basic cedar shake with white trim and shed type, shed-style dormers, which are consistent with some of the other homes on the street as well.
Just explain the purpose of the exterior stairway, I guess, over the garage at the rear.
Which side, sorry?
Next slide.
Oh, the next slide, okay.
It's existing, I guess.
Is that existing?
Are you referring to this one or the one?
Right where your hand is?
Right here?
Up.
Oh, here, this is an existing stair,
existing.
right, yeah. So this facade here is looking from Moses Lane, which is looking this way. So this stair here is roughly, it's out in front of this is the existing structure here. And this is the proposed structure on this side.
Can we flip around to one elevation at a time? What is your, what's confusing me is you're making Pelham your more dominant side of the house, is that correct? Can you flip back to the first floor?
Yeah, of course. I wasn't trying to. What you'll see here is...
That's the rear yard. That's what you're making into a rear yard, which is the one on the right, and your left hand.
Actually, that's what I wasn't trying to do.
That's what it is, right?
What do you mean?
In other words, your west elevation is the side that your swimming pool is going to be on. It's the activity side or the quiet side of the building, the side that faces Moses. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. That's the existing part.
According to your landscape plan, that's kind of obvious,
Yeah.
So really, from the public right-of-way, we're seeing both the east and west elevations primarily of the structure. And you have a garage which you're proposing facing into the street. So I can understand how you need to have that. We'd like to see garages in this particular neighborhood attended to, but your entry door is right next to the garage. That's what's confusing me.
Yeah, so...
Is that the case?
It is, right.
Okay, so you have a garage door and you've got your main entry to the house adjacent to it or right next to it.
Right next to it. But,
okay.
Going back to your comment about where the pool is situated, what I tried to do here, just running out of hands, is, by situating, the pool is existing, this is the existing structure here. Most of the vehicular traffic is on Moses Lane. So by pulling the new structure forward and given the angle of the site, when you drive by, this is all very treed in. And so you really get, your visual is really here. So the pool ends up being hidden just by virtue of its positioning and where it is to a certain degree.
Okay. And can you show me where the existing driveway to the existing house is now on the site? Is it
the
right where
existing
it is?
driveway is right here. And so we're shifting it down to create more of a yard on this side of the house. We try to maintain a yard on both sides of the house. And by creating, the door is here, I have this pass-through porch. So the idea was, architecturally, both facades here and here are very similar. So the idea was that this moment where we pull the garage aside, having the pass-through porch here, it's the idea that this becomes the center of the home, that this is the entry, so that when you're driving by, both sides are, I don't know that one is more dominant over the other. And that was the basic goal.
Since you're faced with a garage door inevitably facing the street, have you thought about doing a slight radius or a curve to the driveway at all?
Or curb to the driveway?
Curve, a radius to the driveway, or anything to break up that, you're in a triangular lot. Would you go with the flow of the angle of the property nearby or anything, or just straight in like you have it at 90 degrees?
I don't think they have room for a curve. There's no room for a curve.
Well, you just said you slid the driveway or garage down to create more of an open lawn space there.
Right.
And there, hence, by moving the existing driveway down towards the peak of that intersection, he's created more livable property for himself, but it's also come out into the village right away in a sense where you see it straight in. I don't have that much of an issue with it, but it's just a point.
The maximum impact of whatever the growth to the house is very small.
Okay.
It's, I mean, I don't see a large difference in terms of surface area for the house itself in the new rendering.
How many
How many square feet in addition are you
The
creating?
existing is, it's roughly 2,000, so the existing is 2,120. Sorry, the existing is 2,100, we're adding 2,120.
So you're doubling it.
We're doubling it.
So you're doubling the size of the house and shifting the garage down towards the peninsula land that's bordered on both sides by Moses Lane and equally on Pelham. Okay.
Brian, comments?
I'm just struggling with the connection to the main house with the roof lines.
Okay.
You know, it just seems like it's dying into it, and
I have a 3D rendering of it, like a little animation. Is there an opportunity to show that here if I get it on the screen quickly? Or
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it might answer
Is
his
this something
question
that you
because
need to see?
it was
Doesn't
our
that-
only way.
yeah.
It was our only way to resolve it architecturally.
Right.
Was to build it in 3D model simply because.
Brian, are you talking about the pathway to the right of the garage? Or are you talking about the shed dormers?
Center.
I'm talking
Shed
about this
dormers.
shed dormer crashing into the house.
Oh,
And that's how I'm reading it on this
with the
elevation.
shadow line too.
Which shed dormer? I'm sorry.
The third one on the right, the one that connects this
Oh,
one
okay,
right here.
So that, yes.
This guy, right there.
Yes. Okay. So that one's
Okay.
a little. Yeah.
So what's happening with that?
So that's the connection. So we studied a number of roof layouts, one that brought, gables out towards the street. It created issues here where the new roof, potential new gable in this direction would create ice dams where it meets the old. So I created a cross gable in this direction, and then this shed dormer in that corner pops up to give us the head clearance to, at the second floor, walk from one side to the next.
Right.
So we basically took the two boxes, shifted them together, and then we just didn't have quite enough head clearance, so I brought up the shed dormer there to get us through. And then I carried the dormer along the facade by replicating it in two other locations.
Question, what's stopping you from interconnecting all those shed dormers so you've got one continuous, more graceful dormer?
We could, I studied that. It started looking big.
Yeah.
It started looking,
I actually prefer, or like the breakup. A lot of this you won't even see. Not that it matters. Obviously, we can care about everything that happens behind hedges.
sure.
However, the impact to the street, I don't think you're going to see all the gyrations and the. It's a very difficult lot, so it's very difficult for the configuration that you've come up with to have shared family space and still have a house. And the only thing you have is a linear house, so you could either have a elongated accordion house, or you've got to make a configuration but still keep the elongated dimension, unfortunately. I think it's creative. Yeah?
Well, I'm looking at two entries. Let's just, for clarity, we're focusing on the east elevation.
Okay.
I have a door, or we have a door, if you will, that's sort of sitting by itself over on the right side of the building.
Here.
Right. And
Okay.
attached to that is a sort of a Juliet balcony type of thing. I'm not quite sure what it is.
Right.
With a sliding glass, it appears to be a swing door, a pair of swing doors there.
Right.
I think the relationship between those two items is very odd, and I'd like to see that cleaned up. I also think the pediment over the door is bringing your eye to, this is the entry of the house. I don't see that sort of relationship going on with this connector, which appears to be a pedestrian porte share more than anything else. And it's confusing. I also will go back to my usual thing about chimneys, and that is that all the chimneys, I feel, should be masonry in the village wherever possible. And I'd like to see a direction going there. On the three shed dormers, certainly the one that stands over your breezeway by itself would reflect the stacking, and that's fine. But the pair of the other shed dormers, one of which is really utilitarian for headspace on the stair, I think those two at minimal should be joined. So to sum this up, what I would do is I would bring more attention, perhaps with some kind of a trim or molding detail to your archway that's to the right of the garage door. I'm talking about that breezeway area.
Here?
And define, no, right
Here?
there, yeah.
Okay.
And that's what's bothering me. I think the overhang of these shed dormers, the lower portion of the main roof, are very strange. I would clean that up, and I would certainly join at least those two that are right in the middle of your drawing
Join
together.
these two here.
Those two, yeah.
You know, my only concern with that.
Those are my concerns.
Those are his recommendations.
I understand. Oh, sorry.
Brian?
Yeah, the other thing, the roof line over the garage, I know what you're doing to mimic the roof line in the existing house, but I think the roof line in the existing house is very poor, and I think, you're accentuating that. I mean, I would like to see that look more like...
Flat?
Or a detached garage with a gable or something connected to the house, so it reads more like a carriage house and not an extension of the house, because all it's doing is just elongating it.
It's a challenge. There's
It
no
is.
question about it, but...
It's interesting, like we studied, I studied what you were saying about the dormers. We looked at many configurations for this roof, and the more I connected these, the bigger this started to look. There's a house 3 doors down, which this is very in keeping with that scale across the street as well. I also looked at making this like more of a carriage house. I gave it a 4-hipped roof. I tried, 4 gables, like a primary gable on each side. And what ended up happening is that it started looking like almost like a gatehouse. It made it feel really long. It almost felt like, well, if you get here, you go check in. So what I tried to do was keep this in style, in keeping with the existing home, to really let this be the main house, which is what I was trying to do. Taking cues from this shed style roof on this side. The goal, I was very sensitive to helping this feel small.
It's an interesting, I look at the west elevation, and to me, I have absolutely zero issues with it. When I quickly look at the west elevation, I see a spacing out of a dominant center shed dormer. I don't see the effect of squishing one of the dormers into Netherland.
I think you're seeing that because of the dimensions. That 3-dimensional, I believe it will come out.
Can I show that? Is that okay?
I really think it would show.
But if I can just finish something, all these outside stairs that are going are basically in your rear yard. Is that correct? The Moses Lane side.
There's an existing stair here at the far back corner, right? And that's
this guy back here.
That's the existing, right? And so this guy here is existing. Actually, the guy with the roof that we don't love, I'll admit, is existing. So this is an existing structure.
So what is new on that facade? Those 3 dormers.
From here to here is new, right? And I actually tried grander iterations of this garage, and the problem was that it was becoming too grand and making this feel like the head of a very long structure. It's interesting. I agree with all of the comments, but we ended up kind of veering away from those. I'll show you the rendering very quickly. Take me 5 seconds to get up here.
At that middle, it's going to be too grand. If you do any more, anything prominent or more prominent to the garage, it won't look as recessive. You're saying that square off the gable?
No, I'm just trying to get this in there somehow, so it's lower, and it has the same angle as that, but it doesn't have that big swoop, which
you may have headroom issues because you
do. Yeah.
The chimney of stacked stone is existing. I'm sorry. The chimney of stacked stone is existing.
It's existing.
Okay,
That's right.
thank you.
Yeah. If this is too hard to see from that far away, let me know. I'll just bring it over. So it kind of starts at one side and pans around the house.
It's not doing anything.
No, you can keep doing that. It's
It's
nice.
a slow
like
start, but
Zen-like,
it gets really good.
You know?
There we go.
Does it have music?
I would narrate it, but I'm not a great narrator.
Okay.
So, the
I think you're stuck with, I think Brian was trying to square off the gable.
I was trying to just make it feel a little more cohesive, and it's a challenge because the main house is.
I tell you, one suggestion.
What was the other issue with the other profiles on the roof is that when I started gabling towards the front, it started getting taller. Also,
Well, you'll have head. I was trying to lower it,
Right.
but then you lose your headroom.
you lose your headroom, right?
You have
wrestled
one.
with it.
You got to make your arguments
Yeah.
to the north and the south here.
Well, I beg your pardon about the chimney. I didn't realize that that was existing on that side, nor did I realize, but you're not abandoning the existing entry door, you're leaving that alone, that whole section.
What we're trying to do is create a grander entry so that this can become secondary. So the idea is that that bedroom may have its own door to the outside, and the landscaping would keep that from feeling primary to the new home, the new part of the house.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to visit the site and take a look at this with a set of plans. I don't need to be there, but I just want to look at the landscape a little bit. However, if there was an alternate to cleaning up the garage door is going to draw a lot of attention to it, and therefore the garage roof is going to draw a lot of attention, and that's really what's facing the public view. I mean, the west elevation, you have your activity of the swimming pool. One would assume you have major landscaping on that side of the building, and quite frankly, most of it, or the majority, or at least half of it rather, is existing. I don't have any issues with that side. There's no crashing, as Brian said, of the dormers into one another, such as it is. So what I'm looking at is the view from the newly located driveway. The old driveway used to be located so that you'd see a defined entry. You haven't moved that defined entry, but you've moved the public right-of-way of viewing it, and that's why I was talking to you or speaking to you about the curbing or apexing of the driveway, so it stays away from that and neutralizes some of the effects of these two buildings together. So I would be happy to say that I have no issues with the elevation that's on the Moses Lane side, nor any issues, except I do see, I'm more than willing to approve this if we can clean up that dormer that's above that's adjoined, that's running into that wall, if you will. And then I also frankly think if you can get rid of the peak of the above the pair of windows that you have above the garage, I think that completely cleans it. I really do. And shed that forward. It gives you your headspace that you would need. It provides a simplification. You would continue the fascia for the building that's in the back or towards the west section of it, and it would really still be submissive to the primary ridge line. And what I'm talking about here, Brian, is essentially running across here and continuing that out, bringing it forward. This guy, and bringing that forward and getting rid of this, reducing this window to something that's more in keeping with. I don't
know. Because then you're just adding another roof line,
We worked hard on that part of the house. When I started extending the bridge out, it started looking, for lack of a better description, commercial.
Yeah.
And going back to your one important thing to note about the positioning of the driveway, there's an old growth tree here. It's gorgeous. And so, I thought that between that tree and what's happening here architecturally, you would read this as you're passing through as the main portion of the house. So I kept this off to the side, just on access with the driveway, only because we didn't have anywhere else to maneuver through there.
Are there any alternates that you have for the driveway? For the garage door placement?
We looked at coming in from the side here, possibly, which was one. But then, that kind of ruined the approach to the home, because if you're coming in along this side, then you're not really getting this view, or you're not getting this view.
And what about entering from
Moses?
From Moses?
We looked at that. The only issue is that it bisected a nice large portion of this yard. So I know one of the things Mr. Rosengart was concerned with is having at least in some portion of the lot a decent sized yard. So by bisecting that, it kind of left this leftover space out here, which is less.
Let him go and see the lot. I think
Let me take a look and get myself.
I think when he goes and
maybe I'm not
sees the
reading it
lot,
right.
it'll read a lot better, and he'll get
You get a
an
more
idea.
perspective. So I'd like to take one of these sets with me. I just didn't look at it from the street. It's fine, if you don't mind. And Brian, I can go with you unless you have.
Yeah, no, I'd like to go see it too.
Yeah. Okay.
Other questions, sir?
Yeah, just one statement about the driveway. I have no problem in cutting the driveway. Actually, the existing driveway, the existing home is right here. So I have no problem in turning this into a...
Existing what?
The existing driveway.
Yeah.
On the existing house, which is this.
Right.
Was right here.
Yep.
I have no problem in shading the driveway with trees, which exist, actually.
Okay.
And
More of the concern is the garage door is facing the street.
It would not.
That's good. But now he's saying that
There would be, there are actually.
they're behind hedges.
There are hedges there now.
I see, okay.
They've been there for 20 years. So I'm saying we can come in this way. You would not see the driveway from the street, the drive.
Okay.
That might be better, yeah.
That might be better. Let me get down and let me view it. I understand you guys want to move forward. I understand you've got a lot of work, but I would like to say, if it's possible to just try again with these three dormers, particularly the one that's intersecting above that, and then a little bit more definition of the breezeway or the see-through, if you will.
Okay.
Okay? And as far as a couple of other things that I have, I don't have any issues on the west elevation per se, but I am questioning, just let me sum it up, I'm sorry. Garage roof, number one. Location of driveway and entering the property, number two. And number three, the third dormer that intersects on the second floor. Those are my three primary concerns on this plan as it is right now.
Solely his.
And Brian,
do
yours?
you concur?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like this, is this elevation here?
Yeah.
This one, where we see, it's not here.
Which one, sorry?
Would it be?
You talking about the rear?
Be the south elevation.
The elevation looking north, Brian, or looking south?
Elevation looking.
Oh, no, I don't have that.
And if you can,
Because that,
if you can make your three-dimensional
issue.
rendering, you can prepare it as part of a hard copy presentation.
Sure.
I think it'll help out a lot better as well.
And the south elevation, if you could just indicate on there maybe the potential driveway and how that would affect the property, to show it in its distance.
Because, I mean,
Closed as it is,
looks
in
from the plan that this is just a solid wall. Two-story solid
Right.
wall.
That's right.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah, that's
We kept most of the glass, like most of the movement on this wall.
a challenge.
No way around it. And still have you have a
Yeah, but this is just.
you have a rectangular lot, so you really don't have much to have any type of yard space.
All right, we'll go look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Anything from the board? So right now you're doing
wanna look at
some
it.
additional work.
Right.
We're going to do a site visit. You're asking this board to adjourn until our next meeting, correct?
Is that how it works? Okay.
That's how it works.
Okay. Sounds good.
Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn.
I make a motion to approve the applicant's request to adjourn the application for Gerald Rosengarten, 15
Second.
Pelham Street.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Remaining factors are the minutes from February 12th.
No, that's wrong. It's supposed to be February 26th, and we are missing Cameron, so we can't vote, and on March 26th, we're missing you, so we can't vote on it.
Motion to close this evening's meeting.
Make a motion that we close the April 9th meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night.
Nice.